Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel and to the series of videos about my work and study experience in Germany. In today's video, I'm sharing my story how I landed my first internship offer in Frankfurt. If you're currently struggling with your job applications, I know what you feel. I've been there. I've edited my resume more than 50 times and I lost the count of how many times I had my cover letter rewritten. But in the end, all my effort paid off and I landed the dream internship that I was prioritizing on my list. Even though it was with the second attempt, I still got the offer, and I'm going to tell you how I did it, what was wrong, what was right. So stay tuned. And before we dive in, I want you to make sure to watch this video till the end, because in the end, I have a small present for you that will definitely help you with your job search. You don't want to miss it. I started looking for an internship after I finished my first year of the master program. And the earlier you start, the better, because if you graduate from the program and you don't have any experience of working in Germany, it's going to be much tougher for you to get a full-time job offer. I primarily used Glassdoor and LinkedIn to search for open positions. I was looking mostly for open positions in English. Why? Because I was also applying at the beginning for German-speaking positions, but then I had first interview in German and it wasn't that good as I expected, not that level that I would expect from myself. I was hesitating, I wasn't really fluent, I was nervous, and they also felt it. And then I figured out that Germans really are not patient and they don't have time for you to come up with the right words, whatever. So don't waste their time, don't waste your time, and just apply straight away only for the positions in that language that you feel confident in. If you are not C1 level in German, I would not recommend you to apply for German speaking position. Work environment is not for practicing, it's for those who already speak German. Another thing before we go further is the visa regulations, how many hours you can work with as a foreign student in Germany. Usually you have it written in your not work permit, in your residence permit. If you are not from EU, you are allowed to work up to 140 full days per year or 280 half days per year, which translates into 20 hours per week, basically per semester. If you have internship, which is full time, that means that you work every day, 5 days per week, as normal full-time employee. Then in that same year, you're not allowed to take any other job because you fulfilled the maximum hours you're allowed to do. After the first year of my master, I figured it was high time for me to start working, also because I was looking at my German classmates who were actively applying already for their first jobs during the master program, even though they had experience before. And it kind of inspired me that it looked so easy. They were applying for one or two company most favorite positions that they wanted, and they were easily getting that. It encouraged me because I thought, okay, if they can do it, I can also do it. But then later I learned it hard way that it wasn't really the same experience for foreign students. Germans usually have an edge in competition, and they're often prioritized over foreigners. But you shouldn't worry about it. If you have good skills, good education background, you still have your chances of getting a good job. I'm talking here not about small no-name companies, I'm talking about big companies where the competition is really fierce, because I never worked in Germany and never applied to small companies. Maybe one or two out of those 100 I had in my list. Most of the companies where I wanted to get in were big names in Frankfurt area, in banking industry mostly. I wanted to have this fat big tick in my CV right away to have it for also for the future career development in Germany. Why would I waste my time for small company experience if I can get into big company right away, which I did, and in the end I landed internship in a really big corporate in finance, which guarantees me, I think it guarantees me success in case I want to get out and change it to another company. as I stayed there after internship, and it's already 5 years I work at the same company where I started as a student, it gives me leverage if I want to move to another big corporate also in Germany or elsewhere in Europe. I was applying during pandemic, which you can imagine made things even harder because so many companies weren't hiring and had limited opportunities. So for the first couple of months, I was getting only rejections email by email without explanation why no. And it felt like I was doing everything wrong, which I later figured out that I was. I was so desperate at the beginning, and this is also an advice for you not to get desperate because it happens. If you're getting rejections, that only means that you're really have to reconsider the way you're applying. I didn't want to give up, even though I was really desperate, and I started looking for some help. I was consulting some other international students. I was watching some videos on YouTube, and there were other students who succeeded in their job applications. I was asking for their advice. And also, I had a consultation with Arbeitsagentur, that's a state agency for job search in Germany, and they provide free consultation. If you want, you can call them. They can review your CV and your cover letter, which I did, for example. But to be honest, the tips that I got from that nice lady who consulted me, they were very generic, and I could easily find that also on the internet, because mostly she reviewed my CV and she told me what was wrong in terms of formatting, but she didn't tell me how I should improve my content, make it really stand out. That I figured out myself. How? Very easily. And I discovered Canva CV templates. They really stroke me, and I started redoing my CV in that kind of styles. I just found one template which I completely redid to kind of reflect my identity. And that was the real turning point when I revamped completely my CV. I created the design that reflected my personality with some unique colors, with a nice picture. I structured it all on one page, which is also important because when they scan your CV, the initial scanning of HR, they have 1 or 2 minutes to decide whether you go forward or they trash you. So when I did all of that, I had a nice CV as the outcome. I started applying and focused only on the companies that I'm genuinely interested in, and not like I did it at the beginning, the first months when I was applying for all possible open positions. And that's why I was also getting rejections. You have to apply for the companies, for the positions where you have relevant background and also that you're really passionate about, because then you start writing cover letter and drafting your resume tailored to that job position. They can see that you're passionate about it, and then you really go forward. That's what happened to me. With all of that with all of those changes, I started applying only for to the companies which I prioritized, which were of big interest to me. That was mostly insurance, banking, investment banks in Frankfurt. And suddenly I started getting interviews, interview invitations, calls, quite a lot of them, and from really huge names like Moody's, for example, or JP Morgan, or Zalando, Montblanc, Unicredit, Hilton Hotel. They were really interested in hiring me. Allianz Group, they always hire students. Swiss Life, and all of these really big names in finance industry, but also retail, like Zalando, for example. They also interviewed me, and they were also very interested in hiring me. But I had one priority which I was aiming for, and I applied for that position twice. But then I'm going to tell you a little bit later. When I had my interview with JP Morgan, for example, that was an interview in German, after which I decided that I'm not going to apply for German speaking positions. There was one thing which made me really confident about my application. It was when the hiring manager complimented my resume, saying that it really stands out of the general flow of CVs that they receive from the student candidates or whatsoever, because usually, normal CVs, they're just black letters on the white background, and mine was with a bit of color, with nice picture, structured all on one page, as I said. And it really catched his attention. That's when I understood what Germans really look for in a CV. No spelling mistakes, clean organization, but also something that sets you apart. They want to see attention to detail and professionalism, but also a bit of your personality. In Germany, like elsewhere, your CV is crucial for passing the initial screening. And German recruiters, they are very detail oriented. They care about structure, they care about formatting. You have to check German formatting of CV before drafting it. Don't apply the CV that is working in your country, it's not working in Germany. There should be a professional photo. Yes, in Germany it's okay to have a photo. Absolutely no mistakes. They are not tolerant to whatever mistakes you might have in your CV. That tells about you not being really caring about the application. If you make mistakes in your CV at the very beginning, what could you make possibly when you have a job, right? So it's breaking the trust. Don't do that. From the very first application till I got my first offer, till I started getting my first offers, it was like 3 months. And my first CVs, they were not really tailored. I was using the same CV applying for different jobs, and of course it was obvious for them. That's why I was getting rejections. On top of that, I also underestimated the value of the cover letter, which is really important because you're a student, you don't have much of work experience, and that's the only way how you can deliver the message to them why you are a good candidate for this job before you get into the interview. I can tell you as an insider, after I finished my internship, my manager at the company where I had my internship and where I work up to now, she asked me to interview a successor that will replace me in internship. And I know how this kitchen works. Usually the HR manager scans your CV. They don't check your cover letter, but they just check your resume and to see whether your background is at all relevant. Then if they consider it's relevant, and also if they see that you made some effort with you made some effort with your application, they forward you to the hiring department, and the manager of the hiring department, who is actually looking for an intern or working student, then they carefully study your application and all of the documents that you submitted, including the cover letter, to understand what is your motivation. And in your cover letter, you don't really need to include something that is already reflected in your CV. You have to focus on explaining your motivation, why you want to be in this company, in this position, and what is your value. I tailored my cover letter and also CV to each job position that I was applying for. And finally, things started to change. I was getting lots of interview invitations that I couldn't even fit in my calendar. They were basically like one after another. After you pass the screening phase, you get to the interview stage when they schedule an interview with you. That's also something that you shouldn't neglect. You really have to prepare. Interviews in Germany require serious preparation because you never know what might come up. And especially if you want to get into these big companies, they take it very serious. One time during an interview, I think it was an interview with Jaguar, and it wasn't even a paid internship, to be honest. It was, they were not going to pay, but because it's such a prestigious place where you can get experience, they really had a tough interview and quite tricky questions, and I would say even weird questions. They threw me into this creative curveball of questions, and they asked me what were 3 things that I would take with me if I were stranded on a deserted island. And at first, I panicked a little bit because I was completely unprepared for this kind of questions. It seemed so random, out of blue. But then I pulled myself together And I think I gave one of the best answers they've ever heard, because they were laughing and they were also surprised. They also told me that's one of the most original answers that I ever got. And I'm going to tell you what I said. I said I would take a box of matches, water, and a book how to survive on a deserted island. With this kind of questions, they want to test your creativity and also your problem solving skills under pressure. There is no right answer for this kind of questions. It's more about how you think on your feet. So just give what you think and be yourself. Don't try to seem smart if you're not smart, you know. They will find it out later on during your work tasks, assignments. So be yourself. That's the most important part. Another time, and that was a trick which I didn't expect it. During interviews, sometimes they also have your CV. Not sometimes, most of the time they have your CV in front of them. The interviewer, the main interviewer, would have it in front of them. And I had this interview with one, I think, investment bank. The guy looked at my CV. It was at the beginning when I wasn't really tailoring my CV that much, and I had many cliche words in the soft skills part. So he asked me, what do you mean by this word? How does it describe your soft skills? I was completely unprepared for this. I never thought that somebody would look into that specific part, find out some weird word, and ask me, why did you choose this word? What do you mean by this word? How it describes you? I think I started mumbling something and they picked up on my hesitation. It was also a couple of other people from his team in the interview. They could notice, yeah, that my mind was blank and I just copy pasted it from somewhere. That moment also taught me very huge lesson. Everything on your CV needs to be authentic. It has to be something you can confidently explain. If somebody wakes you up in the night and asks you, what is this? Why you wrote this like this? You have to be able to explain it. And then there is this classic question that every interview starts with: tell me about yourself. This is really your chance to shine. Don't underestimate this question. These very first minutes are for you to impress them or to bore them. If you get them bored during these first 2 minutes, the whole of the interview will be also boring and you will be one of the last candidates on their list. So use these first minutes where they ask you, tell me about yourself, to really make, like an entrance presentation. Take it as an elevator pitch also. Elevator pitch is when you have 2 minutes, 3 minutes, in an elevator with some investor to convince him to invest his money in you. So you really have to have this approach in an interview, that you have to sell yourself to this hiring manager, to the HR manager. They have to buy what you are saying. They have to invest in you. The first interviews that I had, I also didn't really take it serious with this question. I was just telling it as usually people tell about their story, basically repeating what is already in my CV. And that's a huge mistake. You don't have to repeat what is written in your CV. They want a narrative, they want your story, and they want to hear why you want to work for them. That's the most important thing. You have to sell yourself that you are the best candidate for this role in that very first presentation. Answer to their first question, tell me about yourself. You just have to understand that these first minutes will set the tone for the rest of the interview. This is where I'm going to tell you that when I received invitation to the interview for that desired internship which I wanted, that was first on my list, and I got this chance after the first attempt. First time I applied, I got a rejection, I think in 1 or 2 months, and then I had the dream that I need to apply again and I will be chosen. I applied again with another CV, updated CV with upgraded cover letter. They invited me to the interview. I had one round of interview with the team, and then another second round was with the manager of that unit, and she was completely astonished by my presentation when she asked me, so Ellen, please tell about yourself. She was taken aback by the way how bold I was, the way how I pitched myself, that she told me, I can see you know what you want. And she told me right away, okay, you pass. You are one of my favorite candidates now. For sure, you might expect an offer from us. I got my offer, I think, in 2 weeks. So that same position, I applied twice. That only proves that lots of things really depend on how you apply. I don't say everything, because it also depends on the HR manager who might sleep on your application, some technical problems, luck, but 90% of your success depends on you and the way you drafted your application and the way you presented yourself in the interview. Now looking back, this experience taught me, of course, lots of lessons. I know a lot about job applications now in Germany, how to tailor your CV, how essential is your cover letter, that you don't have to put there some cliches from the internet. And when you get to the interview stage, preparation is, of course, key. You have to know your stuff about the company, you have to know what are your strengths. They will also ask you what are your weaknesses, and you have to honestly also express that. In general, I would say you have to be confident in what you're saying, and that's what they're looking for. They are looking for confident, bold, young talents who know what they want, who know what their strengths are, and how they contribute to the further success of the company. Now, the surprise that I promised at the beginning. I have this list of 13 mistakes that I drafted when I was redoing my CV. I figured out that this is the list of the things that you should avoid completely when you design your CV. And I have this list as a checklist for you. You can get it for free if you do the following things. You have to follow me on my Instagram. The link is below in the description. Like the last 3 videos and comment on them the keyword checklist. Once you've done that, I'll DM you this super helpful checklist directly. And if you're looking for more helpful resources like CV templates or cover letter checklist plus examples based on what worked for me, you can also find them in my shop. The link is provided below in the description. These tools will definitely help you to set apart from other candidates. It's all based on what worked for me, all through hard trial and error experiences. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like it if you found it helpful. Subscribe to my channel. There is plenty more content to come. Good luck with your applications. Stay tuned.